Okay, first we're going to test the water to determine what the water needs to balance out. So inside your water care kit you're going to have a set of test strips, and the important thing to remember with the test strips is don't dip in there with wet fingers and try to keep it in a moderately cool place when you're storing them. So first you remove one of the strips, and holding it horizontally you swirl it once, twice, and a third time, and then immediately or within 15 seconds compare the results on the test strip to the colors on the bottle. So here we're measuring for the level of sanitizer in the spa, which is none because we just filled this hot tub. We're measuring for the spa's total alkalinity, which is the water's ability to buffer or resist changes in the pH. Next we're testing for pH itself, which is the balance between acidic on the low side and basic on the high side. And third, we're testing for the calcium hardness level. Now, I could explain the difference between basic water and acidic water and total alkalinity, but you can easily look that up on Wikipedia. But for our purposes today, the thing that's important to remember is the water's balance is about protecting you in the hot tub and protecting your investment in the hot tub. And what I mean by that is when your pH is low on the pH scale, let's say around 6.8 or 6.6, it's essentially like filling your spa with lemon juice. The water is highly acidic and can be corrosive to not only the spa's equipment, but it can also be drying and damaging to your skin. Now, if you're on the other end of the pH scale, let's say 8.0 or 8.2, which is very basic water, it's like filling your spa with tonic water, and that's not good either because it would make you cough and make your skin itch. So having a balanced pH in your hot tub, ideally, because it's hot water, you want to be right about 7.5 on the pH scale, a little high on the ideal range. Now, the total alkalinity is, again, the water's ability to resist changes in pH. So on the total alkalinity, you want to be on the high side of the ideal range on that as well, which is about 125 parts per million. So these two are relative measures, and usually when you adjust one, the other goes up and locks in appropriately. Now the third thing is the calcium hardness. Typically water is filled into a hot tub. It's usually on the soft side, and soft water can be corrosive over time, and it can exaggerate the foaming effect of detergents from swimsuit. You get a lot of foaming in the hot water and such. So you want to have the calcium hardness level balanced at or about 200 parts per million. Now that would be on the low side of the ideal range, unlike the pH and alkalinity on the high side of the ideal range. Now these three water balance components are interdependent on each other. So again, it's like a three-legged stool. If you have these three in the ideal zone, they'll stay locked in, your water will be clear and comfortable, and it'll also protect your hot tub investment over the long term. So based on my analysis, we know that most spas in this region anyway, in New England, have a low pH or acidic water test. So the first thing we'll do in our hot tub is we'll pull out some alkalinity increaser. Now the reason we use alkalinity increaser before adjusting the pH is because the alkalinity influences the pH. So you always want to adjust your alkalinity first, whether it's up or down, like people on the West Coast have to go the opposite direction of those of us on the East Coast. So in this case we'll be adding just a little bit of alkalinity increaser, and it would be about 3 ounces, which is 3 capfuls. So all I do to add the product, it's very simple, is I'll turn the jets on, and I'm just going to measure out and broadcast 3 capfuls of alkalinity increaser, just like that. Nothing to it. Okay, now the next thing that we were low on, which is very typical for New England water, is the calcium, especially municipal water, tends to be on the soft side. Sometimes if you're on a domestic well, you'll have a hard water condition, but always check that because it's important. Calcium hardness increaser. Now you can add the calcium hardness increaser at the same time that you've made your alkalinity adjustment, and in this case we found that our calcium was around 50 parts per million, which is typical for municipal water. They tend to keep it on the soft side, which is great for getting ahead of lather with shampoo in the shower, or not using a lot of laundry detergent when you're washing your clothes, but it's not good in a hot tub to keep soft water because, again, you get a lot of foaming in your hot water. So we're just going to add, in this case, we're going to add about 6 ounces or 6 capsules of calcium harness increaser. Now it's not critical to get this perfect the first day or the first couple days, as long as you understand why it's important. Again, for your comfort being in the water, for protecting your investment in the hot tub over time. So given an acclimation period, now we've just got the jets running on clean cycle for about 10 minutes, and after that cycle ends, we're not going to test the water to see how we did. We are going to be patient and give it an acclimation of about a day. We'll go back tomorrow, we'll retest the water, and if we need to adjust the alkalinity or calcium further, that's when we'll do it. Incremental is better than trying to get it all at once, otherwise you have to go down the other way if you overdo it. Now, in addition to alkalinity and calcium harness, we've also got pH increaser. We usually don't have to use this because the alkalinity will bring the pH up with it, and they'll both lock in at about the same part of the ideal range. But just know that if your alkalinity is ideal and your pH is still on the low side, just add a little bit of the pH increaser to adjust incrementally. So that's essentially water balance. Again, it's calcium harness, 200 parts per million. It's alkalinity to lock the pH in at 125 parts per million. And lastly, it's pH at 7.5, the balance between acidic water or corrosive on the low side and basic or carbonated on the high side.